You don't have to spend thousands to make your home beautiful. Sometimes you just need to know the right places to look. And today I am here with Marissa Lair, and her business is Made Design Studio. And she is an expert at making a home look beautiful and not spending a lot of money. I'm going to call her a thrifting expert. I'm not sure what she calls herself, but Marissa, tell us a little bit about what you do and who you help.
I love that. Maybe I'll just rebrand and call myself that, because bring some interesting angles to what I do. So I am an interior decorator, and I am very fortunate to work with clients on an array of projects. I have a trusted contractor who I work with for large scale renovations for like kitchens and bathrooms and things like that. But really my favorite right now is working with residential clients. And usually that's just giving their space a facelift and sourcing some new furniture, maybe some new paint, and just bringing their personality to their space. So there's a really large array of things I get to do in the home design world, but I really love what I do, and it's always growing and expanding. So
I love that. And I love following you on social media. We will post your link in the show notes, but the one thing for me, anyways, my philosophy of creating a home is very much that a home is meant to evolve. I hate sets of things. I don't like going into a house where somebody has gone and bought all brand new furniture. Yes. I like an evolution of the home. To me, a home should never really be finished. What are your thoughts on that?
I really like that. I agree. I mean, I'm the same way. My home looks different. Like sometimes my friends come over and they run around the house because they're trying to find the new things and the things that have changed, because like you're always finding pieces that are calling to you, or you're finding that there's some pieces that no longer serve you. And so I think you're completely right. That homes are constantly evolving, and the way that you function in your home completely changes with different life phases. So if you build a home today, it might not serve you even in 5-10 years if suddenly you have 3 more kids than you planned on having, or whatever it might be, or, like your mobility changes. So I think homes are really beautiful because they tell your story. And I think you hit the nail on the head. They just evolve to be what's best for you at the time.
Exactly. And it doesn't cost thousands of dollars.
Yes.
So that's where we get into thrifting. So I want you to talk about what is misunderstood about thrifted design.
That's a great question. I find when I am trying to gauge where a client likes to shop and what their style is and what pieces call to them, they're pretty open to thrifting, but they don't know where to go and they don't know how to start. And I think that because we live in this very constant hustle of a world, like things are always in motion, that people who shop on Amazon think that their thrifted items are going to magically manifest like really quickly. And so they go to a thrift shop and they just assume that whatever they're looking for is going to be there. And so I think what takes people by surprise when we're thrifting is that we have to have a lot of patience and that it takes time to build a vision, and that the perfect piece either might not be there, or it might not be the exact size we need, or even that there might be one that's out of left field. Like where we get there and we're like, this is not at all what we thought we were going to be looking for, but I'm obsessed with the design. I love these details. Let's get this one instead and see how it feels. So I think the patience factor, and also just kind of being open to being wowed, is something that not always, like maybe it's not misunderstood, but not everyone's, prepared for that if they aren't thrifters, and maybe sometimes aren't prepared to clean it or refurbish it. Right. They don't always come in like perfect condition, but I also that's kind of what I love most about them, is if they don't come in perfect condition and they have a little wear and tear, I see the story and the layers to it myself.
I love that. So what are the best items to thrift for your home?
I love thrifting wood furniture. That's like the number one thing I'm looking for, is either like, big wood pieces like dressers and credenzas, or small wood pieces like wall hooks and wall cabinets. There's just so many ways to use them. And so I beeline for the furniture section in every thrift store. My other favorite thing for clients who are kind of like familiarizing themselves with thrifting is always going to be books. Antique books are so exciting to look at. And there's always like just some real wild card finds that you stumble upon. I also am always encouraging people to just go look at the brass and like mixed metals section, because we all love brass candlesticks, but also some people are always on the hunt for like brass swans. They serve like no purpose in your home other than that you just love them. So I find that those are some of my favorite like beginner friendly things, and there's always something unexpected in those sections.
I love that. Now, what are some things that you would recommend you not thrift for your home?
This is actually a hard question because there's not a ton of things that I don't think can be made to work that are thrifted.
Okay.
I find like if it's like maybe not a certain piece that you can exactly find, but several materials that you can combine to be what you want. Everyone has different comfort with pre-loved and pre-used items. So some people might not want like towels or bedding or pajamas or things like that. So clothes and like fabrics, I think, can be uncomfortable for people, but I personally think that like couches and chairs and other fabric items can be reupholstered, they can be cleaned, and they can be loved again. So there's very few things that I shy away from unless it has too much wear and tear to be functional rather than like a piece you look at, or if it can't be cleaned.
Okay, so how do you see the potential? Because I follow you and I see things that you post that you have purchased, you've thrifted, and I think to myself, what's she going to do with that? So you obviously are great at redoing and, bringing things, kind of giving them new life. How do you see the potential in something? Like, to me, it might look like, well, I don't know what I'd ever do with that.
Yeah.
What do you look for when something is not kind of perfect? What are the things? Do you have? I guess what I should say is, when you go into a thrift store, are you looking for specific things? So you automatically kind of see the potential. Like, I saw you buy, I think it was an old spoon rack.
Yes, an old spoon cabinet.
Or a spoon cabinet.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, to me, that just reminds me of my grandma. And like, what would I ever do with that?
Yeah.
So you obviously saw potential in it. What did you turn that into?
Yeah, I took an old spoon cabinet and I made it into like a medicine cabinet for my bathroom, but I kept all the slats in it so that my jewelry could hang on it.
Oh.
Because it honestly came from, I see them in the thrift store all the time. It's one of the most common items I see because not many people are having spoon collections. And I was so frustrated because they're beautiful, but I was like, I don't have spoons for this. Like, I don't know what. And so it just really came from, I had a blank space in my bathroom that I knew I wanted to fill. And I found a super cute spoon holder. And I thought, I was like, I don't know, if I throw some curtains on this to hide my jewelry for when people come over to my house and it looks kind of weird just leaving that on display. I think it's just trial and error. Like, it really does come from, you identify a gap in function, or you have like a blank space that you want to fill. And so when I go to the thrift store, sometimes I know what I'm after and I have dimensions in my mind. But other times you just stumble across a piece that you love and you kind of hold on to it until that idea comes to you, or like the perfect place in your home reveals itself to you.
Okay. I love that. Now, maybe, I don't know, in your home, like I guess I'm thinking about the balance between new and thrifted pieces. In your home, but maybe somebody who's a real great thrifter might not have a lot of new pieces. Like, do you have a balance in your home? And how, what would you tell people about the balance that maybe works the best? Because you're an interior decorator. So what is the balance of new to thrifted?
Yeah, to kind of echo something that you were saying earlier about having matching sets and just like when things are super cohesive, I feel like there's room always for adding more layers, more patterns, and more depth. So I personally am also not a big fan of shopping from one store for your entire home. I find that it's hard. You can't manufacture character and you can't manufacture stories. So I'm not against, I think it's amazing to use mass manufactured products here and there. You can't, use IKEA everywhere, but you can use IKEA somewhere where it makes sense to save money on, shelves or built-ins. But I do think that adding some elements of a thrifted or antique or, secondhand item, it's going to bring quality and story and probably like color that you can't find elsewhere, because there's a big difference between an authentic walnut cabinet and like a particle board faux veneer walnut from IKEA. Like you can really see the difference in the space. And so the more natural woods and natural products that you can find, I just think it really adds to how the space feels when you're in it.
I agree. Like, I think that whole layered approach, and I always believe that there has to be some tension in decorating. So things that maybe shouldn't, somebody might say, well, that doesn't really belong there. I love, framed things that don't really belong, or things you wouldn't normally frame. And I mean, I guess with thrifting, sometimes you find things that you wouldn't find anywhere else. 100%. And there's such conversation starters in your house. And I love that whole layered piece.
That's 100% right. It's like quite often that I find people, they know what they want. They know what they're drawn to. They know what decor reflects their personality, but people can be, shy of doing that. And I'm really quick to say, get something weird. Like just go into the thrift store or go into whatever store you like and just find something super strange that brings you joy and bring it home. And it's like a really small gateway into decorating in your own unique style or in a way that brings you joy. And you really stop caring about having a magazine spread in your home, and you really start cherishing the things that are unique or personal to you. And really it is like weird things. People should just get more weird things in their house.
Well, and my philosophy has always been that you should surround yourself with things you love in your home. Yes. And if you have things in your home you don't love, get rid of them. So yes, if there's some crazy thing that you love dolphins and you find this brass dolphin and that makes you happy, then bring it into your home. You should be surrounded by things you love.
Yeah, I like that.
Now, if I was going into a thrift store for the first time, really just experimenting and seeing, okay, because obviously it's a skill and there's a lot involved in this. What are 3 things that you would say, don't pass them up?
If you stumble across wood furniture without any noticeable, like dents, broken drawers, things like that, especially if there's a stamp from a furniture maker, which you can always see when you open one of the top drawers. Okay. I always grab beautiful wood furniture in excellent condition. If you don't have a place for it, someone in your life will, or you can, put it on Marketplace, but like solid wood pieces are meant to be treasured, and they add so much to your space. So always, 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 I grab those, no matter what scale. 3 things that we must grab, that you should grab. That's a great question, Kelly Ann. Sorry, Dane, for the editing you have to do right
now. One of the other, a thing that I use a lot that I think can be really useful in a home, and I know you can find them often in thrift stores, is really pretty baskets.
Oh, I love baskets.
Right? I love the texture. I love things that have texture.
Yes.
So baskets for me would be something that I always look at the baskets. Sometimes there aren't great things, but
yes, that one's a great one. Also, I feel like people forget about the artwork section. There are, if anything, amazing frames there. You don't always resonate with the art itself, but the frames are an incredible price. They're usually ornate or detailed, or you can find original oil paintings. So there's so many, I think, unique pieces in artwork that can be repurposed or upcycled. You can always print your own art that, is calling to you more. So I think art would be high on my list. And then also scrap fabric, because typically there's like, old blankets or pillowcases, or just like someone went to the fabric store and had extra, so they donated it. And I find you can use that for a plethora of things. Like I put the curtains on my medicine cabinet out of scrap fabric. And so it's just, you can reupholster your pillows. You can just do a lot. So I would say that's also an interesting section if you want to try crafting and putting them on the back of your picture frames or something.
I love that. So I guess and this kind of goes to the whole mindset of thrifting, because, probably, I guess I'm obviously a lot older than you. And when I was your age, thrifting was not something that people did. It wasn't, and now I think people are starting to appreciate the whole idea of so much of what we buy is throwaway, and they don't want to do that. They want to look for sustainable pieces because, as you say, there are so many beautiful pieces out there that should have a second and a third and a fourth life. Yes. They should not be discarded. Yes. So what would you say, and you're talking about, using scraps of fabric for different things. What is the mindset of somebody who is a seasoned thrifter who really makes the best use of all the things that they find?
I love that. I'm glad you brought that up because I do think, there's so many different reasons why people turn to thrifting. Some people just love the thrill of the hunt. Some people, it's more an economical perspective that they take. For me, it really is rooted in that sustainable mindset and, the small role that us individuals get to play in environmentalism and reducing the amount of waste and fast fashion and just the amount of like crap that ends up in landfills. My background is in social services and global studies is my degree. So like it's always been a piece of the back of my mind. And it's so wonderful that I now get to marry this with my actual job and little by little have other people thinking about the environmental impact of where we're shopping and who we're supporting and like who we're giving our money to and what they're doing with it. Because there's obviously amazing organizations and small shops out there that are reinvesting in their community with, their shops and stuff. So, I forget the question that you asked, but I've gone off on a tangent.
No, but that's perfect. That's perfect. Yes, I think that anybody who is thrifting, and it's funny because as somebody who has donated a lot of things, I think to myself when I'm donating, and I know there's lots of people who would rather sell their things. I like to donate things that I no longer use. And I always think to myself as I'm donating something, I think the person who finds this in the thrift store is going to be thrilled. Yes. And I also realize that money is going to help an organization or something. So it's really... to me, thrifting is such a win-win for everybody. And that's what I love about it. Like, I just think it's, I'm so glad that it is something that has been, kind of brought back. And it's something that young people are embracing. And that there's people like you who are showing how beautiful thrifted pieces can be and to design your home around them. So I just love that.
Thank you. I do think that, of course, there's like so many emotional reasons that people might thrift. And something I think we're seeing more and more of, especially as people are kind of reintegrating with community post-pandemic and like, we're not in our houses as much, is we're really looking for connection. And I think that there's an element that pre-loved items or vintage items bring to your home that give you that, like, I don't know, connectedness to other people. Yeah. And when you have them over, it's just like such easy things to talk about. And we don't necessarily want modern homes across the board anymore. People are, I think, craving that nostalgia. And we're seeing people that have never thrifted before entering this realm and being excited about it because it's authentically theirs. And they're finding their voice. So I think in design, that's where, I'm seeing it more. And I'm really excited for that shift. And for people to be playful and be curious.
I love that. So with that being said, we live in Chatham, Kent.
Yes.
Give us your best thrifting tips as to where to go, when to go, all of those kinds of things.
There are so many amazing thrift locations in Chatham, Kent, and so many of them are volunteer run and have like some sort of organizational mission or purpose. And so I find that the Chatham, Kent community is extremely generous with their home goods. Right now we're heading into spring. People are doing spring cleaning. They just came off of their, holiday purge. A lot of people are cleaning their homes and parting with their goods at the moment. So I always find that typically like spring and fall are amazing times to be thrifting because people are naturally doing some type of, cleanse of their home and either preparing for winter or, preparing for spring. And so I always go to Habitat for Humanity. It's like my favorite place for furniture. I also find that the family thrift store, what is it called? New Life Thrift, also has incredible furniture. And then I obviously do the circuit of like Goodwill and Value Village and Salvation Army for clothes. But being in interior decorating, I'm always on the hunt for furniture and decor more so. But for anybody who's listening, who always wants clothes and jeans, because they're really hard to thrift, there's like this hack that you can do where you hold the jeans up and you wrap them around your neck, and you want them to like just kiss, and they should fit you nearly perfectly. And because everyone closed their change rooms after COVID, and so it's really, really hard to thrift pants, I find.
Yes.
And so I do that 99% of the time. You can also, if it feels weird to do that in public, you can put one tip of the like zipped up pants, one tip at your belly button and one tip at your spine and kind of wrap it around your body halfway. And that is a pretty accurate estimate as well for pants.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But you do look a bit silly when you're in the thrift store wrapping the jeans around your neck, but I'm always willing to do it.
Yeah. That's okay. That's great. That's great. Yeah. I know that there are, I feel like in Chatham, Kent, we do have a lot of places to go and some really good quality things. Okay. So that being said, tell us about your best thrift ever.
This one's so easy because it happened recently. So I do a lot of sourcing via Facebook Marketplace. I love how you get to meet the coolest people with the coolest stories and like treasured antiques. So I actually found I guess it would be like a linen cabinet. I don't know, a large cabinet that it lives in my living room, and it's empty. It literally has like cat toys in it because I did not need it. As soon as I saw it, I had like a body reaction to it. And it's like this gorgeous, like 7-foot tall glass cabinet with, it's made out of wood. And, I messaged the woman on Facebook Marketplace, and when I went to pick up, like we should have just brought tea because we sat in her driveway and we just talked about how much we love this piece, and I learned about when she got it, and she was so glad that it was staying with me and not going to a client because she wanted me to send her pictures when I got home and give her updates when I renovated my house so she could see it. And then, she's like, well, next time you're in town, like come by for tea. I'd love to talk. And so we go back and forth on Marketplace now. And I don't know. I think it's, yes, the story that goes with it, but I had a gut feeling when I saw the piece, and she's been such a treasured new contact in my life that I just think it's worth sourcing and finding things that bring you joy on the internet.
Yeah. That's so awesome. I love that. And as you say, all of the pieces have a story. So it's really nice because when you're in the thrift store, you don't get to hear the stories. But if you buy it off of Marketplace, you do get to hear the stories. That's amazing. Well, you have given us so much information about thrifting in Chatham, Kent, and about using thrifted goods in your home. And obviously, if you work with people who, as you said, just need that little bit of refresh,
yes,
or would you do, well, I know you do, because you're working on a project right now. So you do full renovations and things like
do.
that with people?
Yeah, 2026 has been a very exciting year. I am working on 3 commercial projects right now, which it's still very nerve-wracking to say out loud, but it's really exciting. And actually, by the time people hear this, there will be a new co-working space in Chatham that will be open to the public. There's a business called Resolve, and they're opening what's called HQ, which is Resolve headquarters, and it will be open to all remote workers or small business owners, anybody looking for some community and a place to work and event rentals. I'm really excited. It's been my baby for the last couple months, and a totally different design chapter than I've ever had with residential. So I think people will be excited to see something different.
That's great. So that was your project. You took it on the whole thing. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, Marissa. And I look forward to all the projects that are to come.
Thank you for having me.